have just
Yeah.
They really are. So we are freshly back from the Peruvian Amazon. With me is William Atkinson,
Hello?
Matt Jepson. You should know them both from previous videos, perhaps.
I should have come in on the call.
Yeah, you look a little ridiculous just stationary.
I know, yeah, it's not the norm.
But we just got back from what was legitimately the biggest adventure I've ever been on. And Matt, who is the reason that we went on this adventure, has been on many similar adventures, but I have just been informed, and I was informed at the time, and your wife has now clarified this to be the absolute truth. This was the most intense one ever.
It was. This was heavy. It was hardcore. It was just pure adventure. It was kind of like those shows you watch. Maybe kind of. I think Batman was like this, where you're waiting for the break.
Yes.
And kind of like let off, but it doesn't.
Has it happened?
The next adventure is right behind it.
And even when we thought our adventure was over and we were just going home.
That's true.
That was the worst part.
That was the worst part. The worst and greatest part of the entire trip in some ways.
Lots of highs and lows.
Yeah,
That was the adventure for the most part without the reward.
Yeah,
until I guess you guys got Cancun.
Yeah, we wound up on a beach in a country we weren't even supposed to go to. I thought it was ridiculous that I even had that stamp in my passport until we actually got a full day there. So I now have two countries I've been in for one day each. But
we even herped there. Found some animals.
That's true. And I got some good videos of some really cool fish in the ocean. It was wonderful, and yeah, I loved it.
Washing the Amazon mud off in the Caribbean Ocean.
Yeah.
So bad.
Not too shabby. Yeah, and so Will and Matt wound up on this adventure with me for very different reasons. Because I basically came with Matt, because Matt does this kind of thing, and I want to do this kind of thing. And Will came because he is a true adventurer. I would say that is.
I've never done anything like this.
No, but you've done some crazy.
My heart is there.
Stuff. Yes,
my heart is there.
But you've probably been closer to death on some of your adventures than this one.
Yeah, don't tell my wife.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. She
Even
was
though
there.
it was tagged by a bullet ant.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no big deal. We'll, and there will be a video on this, so no big spoilers, no big spoilers. But Will did deliberately get himself stung by a bullet ant.
I had to see.
Yes.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm surprised you guys didn't do it.
No, I had no desire.
No, yeah. Honestly,
It was wonderful. It was a beautiful experience.
It was wonderful. I remember, anyway, I won't say anything to spoil, but it didn't seem wonderful.
Yeah, you're right.
Not much about it at all seemed wonderful, except just watching it.
Oh, yeah.
As a
I was doing
third
it for
party
you
to
guys.
see the development of the.
I'd like to know from each of you, what do you think was the most wonderful part of the trip?
Showering.
Surely not when we were out there.
No, but as a story goes, I was thinking of how do I explain like this whole experience, and I feel like a good cross section is like the shower experience. The amount of animals we saw in the shower.
Yeah, there's pretty good.
There were animals in the shower.
Including what to me was the scariest animal out there. Right over the shower head. And I was eyeballing that sucker the whole time I was
We're
showering.
going to talk about that spider?
Well, I don't want to go. We got a lot of spoilers because we got a whole video on that horrible monstrosity. But it is a very, the scariest spider ever.
It was a
especially for a man.
Yes, no, particularly.
Well, I don't know what the effects are on anyone else.
Yeah, we don't know. But we did get to talk to somebody who had been bitten by this spider, and the effects are terrifying. Terrifying. So showering was your highlight?
No.
But that's
describing my shower experience is a good way to start off with some people.
Describing Will's shower experience.
The showers.
Let's spend some time.
Cold showers in the Amazon taught me how much I hate being cold because you're miserably hot constantly. And yet still I dreaded that cold shower.
It was refreshing.
No, it was not.
It was refreshing.
It was well beyond refreshing.
And then all of a sudden there's a cane toad, just hopping through the shower. I mean, to me it was just continued herping.
You showed her the cane toad?
I did.
That
Yeah,
makes
I
me
saw
happy.
one.
I'm like, go ahead, you can stay. Just eat the spiders. I'm not a spider fan, so
No, well,
I was like,
I am a big spider fan, but these spiders,
yeah.
that one shower spider was more than I wanted.
And the geckos.
Yeah, geckos. I love the geckos. I always invited geckos because they ate the mosquitoes. And man,
There were mosquitoes.
whoa, I still
Yeah.
have bites all over me, and they itch still.
And it's been, what, 2 weeks?
We left the Amazon 2 weeks ago today.
Yeah.
But we didn't get home for several days after that
Right.
because everything went sideways.
Like
Right.
5 days, it felt like.
Yeah. Well,
it was
probably
3.
5 days worth of being awake time because
Yeah,
we were awake
right,
almost
right.
the entire time.
Yeah.
Definitely 5 days worth of being masked up time.
Right.
Oh, what do you have in your hand, by the way, Matt?
This is a yellow anaconda, so not exactly the anaconda that was where we were, but an anaconda nonetheless. And we spent a lot of time watching for anacondas.
Yes.
And we saw very near relatives,
Yep, very.
and
Which are also good.
awesome animals, but yeah, didn't get the green anaconda.
It sounds like they've seen 2 in 25 years or something.
No, I think it's a few more than that, but not necessarily at the research stations, usually on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
river.
Okay. Yeah, at the research
And it's like
station.
every 1 in 3 trips, but
They see one.
you never know. They like this. They like the sunny spots, and we were, in the heavy primary forest, right, a lot of the time. So,
Yeah.
the river's edge, the Amazon.
I
on the
definitely
south.
learned. One of the things I learned that was kind of surprising to me was, if you're wearing tall boots, there really aren't any animals in the rainforest there that we were very concerned about at all. Even jaguar and fertilances.
Yeah, those boots will protect you
Bushmasters.
against the jaguar.
Yeah, they're really well. But it just seemed like jaguars weren't a concern.
No, we saw ocelot tracks. We saw margay.
Oh, you saw tracks?
Yeah, I got some pictures.
No way.
Yeah. But yeah, the jaguar. It could always happen, but it hasn't happened in a lot of years. They're there. They're in
Did they
the
ever
area.
see them?
Yeah, typically they've only seen them on trail cams. The thing is, this is the reason you walk alone. Sometimes I would hike alone, was so that I could die by jaguar. It'd be the best way to die. But usually when you're in any kind of group, you're just not going to see the cats.
Whenever I see somebody who's got some sort of an injury on them, a broken leg or whatever, I say, was there a tiger involved?
That's a
And
good,
if you got
good
killed by a jaguar, it'd be pretty close. It'd be like, well, I was in South America. Okay, was there a jaguar involved?
yeah,
Yes.
most likely.
Great!
Yeah.
Great! Good
So I'm
story.
curious what your favorite part was.
Well, I don't know if we've really gotten to Will's yet.
Oh, did he?
Oh,
He said showering.
And what was
Okay.
yours? We talked about a lot of stuff.
It was. It was just like a series of just animals. I loved seeing an unplucked pair of giant waxy monkey tree frogs, like just one of the 2 biggest tree frogs in the world, way up high in a branch, and then maybe retrieving those tree frogs to get better documentation. But just seeing things in situ, we say, right, as found in the wild, so many different animals, the rainbow boas, just some of those favorites, being able to observe them in the middle of the night, not knowing what's going to come next, and then you're just walking, and all of a sudden here's a 6-foot rainbow boa right next to the trail.
It's like treasure hunting.
Yeah.
I agree. And you've been in the American tropics before, and so you had some exposure to at least close relatives to a lot of these animals. For me, 90% of what we saw was all new to me. I'd never seen them before. And honestly, the field guide, which I knew you were into heavily before we left, was largely meaningless to me. Now it's not. Now I go through it and I've seen these. It's like my North American field guides mean something to me because I've been around a lot of these animals, and the few that I haven't, it's like I know to be looking for these few. But when it's like, here's a whole field guide full of a whole lot of stuff I've never heard of before.
Right.
I don't know which ones of these you see, what they're really like. Now I do, and it's like it really brought it to life for me. And excitingly for you guys, we documented everything.
Yes,
Everything.
Half a
With
terabyte.
half a terabyte of
5 a.m. to dinner time.
and thanks to
we
Will,
were filming nonstop.
thanks to Will, we were able to film that
Yeah.
much, and it's organized enough that there will actually be videos in the relatively near future instead of a year down the road like it would be if I had gone by myself.
And that was my role. I'm not.
You were a hero.
I was the photographer.
You were an absolute hero. So what was your favorite thing since it?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. Like these crazy animals that I would have never imagined seeing.
I'm moving this up.
Oh,
People
Tilt
are,
it so you can see Matt again.
people
That's
are.
all right. You don't need
I
to see
can't
that.
tell what I'm
Are we
doing.
too far away?
People are saying that they can't hear you so well.
No. Okay.
Oh, sorry
So,
guys.
trying
We'll
to
talk
get-
more directly.
Trying to get closer.
So,
Lean
my favorite animals were like the unexpected ones that I wasn't expecting to see, like the yellow porcupine that we saw.
Oh
that
yeah,
one
that
night.
prehensile tailed
Like,
porcupine.
I would have never even imagined a creature like that. The electric eels. We hiked up into the jungle this one night, and in this small pond where I wouldn't expect to see anything, we saw these giant 6-foot eels.
And someone fell in with
Someone
the eels.
Yeah.
It was insane. Yeah, the spiny devil katydid.
Yeah,
That was
that's
insane. The
insane.
peanut
I have posted a
bug,
picture of that on Instagram.
The giant tree frogs. Those were my favorite.
Those were awesome.
The giant monkey frog. Yeah. But yeah, those were my favorite things.
Yeah, boy.
So many
A
stories.
favorite moment from the whole thing. I gotta tell you, there are a few things that really stand out to me, but there was one toad that we found that I feel like other people didn't appreciate on the same level as I did, because there are a lot of what are they called?
The crested.
Crested toads. You see crested toads that have little crests on the side of their head fairly often.
Oh, yeah, we saw.
And there's a big
dozens of them.
species complex of this, so of these crested toads. And so I feel like when we found this one, it was just, to some people that didn't pay enough attention to it, it was just another crested toad.
Rhinella margaritifer.
But this one is ridiculous. It has giant Dilophosaurus crests. They're huge. They were 5 times the size of the next biggest crest on a crested toad that we saw. And then and they're hard. They're bony crests. Huge Dilophosaurus crests. And then it's got hard spikes down its back. A row of spikes like a
gnarly.
dragon. And then it's got other spikes that are soft like bearded dragon spikes on its sides. It
Kind of sounds like you're making this up.
It does. It was the most hardcore toad I've ever seen. It's like a battle toad. I didn't know there was such a hardcore looking toad in the world. And you know, I feel like I can't do it justice when I explain it to people. I feel like even the people that were there didn't appreciate it enough.
It's because we had seen dozens of crested toads.
Yeah, that are slightly
But
similar.
the mature, large adult male, that was the only specimen that we got that was that developed.
Yeah.
And we did paste things on the back just to trick you, so some of those things aren't
I
real.
understand.
but
I understand.
We wanted to enhance the experience. for you.
Obviously. It was, yeah, because why would a toad look like that?
Yeah,
it was too
just
hardcore.
too crazy.
And the other thing that went against the toad was, on the day that we caught the toad, we also caught the craziest tree frog
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my life. And I have a very difficult time actually telling you which one was cooler because they're both unbelievably rad.
Yeah.
I took pictures of them together, which makes me so happy. But the thing is, the tree frog is very rare, and we only saw one other relative of this frog, and they very rarely find them at all. They usually are way up in the canopy. And so I think that overshadowed the toad for almost everybody, and only I was left to
It
really
had spines
drink in
on
it.
its eyelids.
The toad?
The cascaded one.
Oh,
The
yeah.
tree frog, you mean.
Yeah, well, there was another one that had really, oh yeah, it had the one spine, but there was that other one that had like the crested gecko eyelashes.
That's right.
That was a different frog. I mean, crazy stuff. Anyway, the videos that are going to come out of this, I think literally we've got more than 20 videos worth of content.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to try not to just bombard you guys with just non-stop Amazon.
But the
But we
Amazon's
could.
pretty cool.
We could if we wanted to. We will
Yeah.
try to intersperse regular content as well. But man, did we film some stuff.
Can we hint on some of the videos that we're going to be coming out with?
Yeah, I hint on some stuff.
Yeah. So we got the strangest arthropods, or
Oh, and it's
is that- what are we calling
big
that
and
one?
big and terrifying.
Big and terrifying
Biggest and
arthropods.
terrifying arthropods.
Strangest amphibians. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of.
strangest amphibians.
Which are all frogs. We didn't find any others.
Yep.
No salamanders, no
Salamanders.
Sicilian, yeah.
Largest amphibians, giant amphibians.
Yeah, that'll probably be a thing.
Yeah.
Though I can't remember if we decided to carry on with that one or not. That was the one that was sort of on the edge.
Yeah. We did find 5 giant
Yeah, so I think
Frogs.
we're good. I think we're good. We found some
Yeah.
biggies.
and a bunch others.
Yes, yeah, we got so much stuff.
Legends of the pink dolphin.
Will getting stung by bullet ants.
Bullet ants. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an unreal experience.
Oh, and just like the seeing certain creatures in their habitat, like over the course of days, like we followed these leafcutter ants,
Mhm.
and just seeing like how they did things in their element was fascinating.
Absolutely.
We made a lot of videos on those kind of things.
Yes.
We caught one of the largest freshwater fish in
I
the
was just
world.
gonna say that.
And for me, that was definitely a
That was a
highlight.
bucket list thing for
Yeah,
you in
it's
life.
something that I always wanted. I lived in the Amazon and on the Brazilian side for 2 years and I had a couple experiences with some of the locals there capturing these, usually by harpoon, but very uncommon animal and very difficult to catch with a fly rod and or to catch really with conventional tackle at all, and that was fun. We released the fish.
Did you caught more than one too, or you at least got more than one
No,
on?
I had 2 on, but landed one.
Because they've got very bony
And
mouths.
we got that pretty well documented.
did.
Yes.
In fact, Will there was a kind of a gallery of folks, including the locals who all clapped. It was hilarious. He was landed out, clapping like that. Never had that experience before. But Will got definitely the best footage, so that would be,
Just so you know, this anaconda, when we got her about 6 months ago, she was in kind of a little bit rough condition, and she had very little trust in humans. She bit lots of people, and she would strike out into space at people, or she'd strike at my face while I was holding her. She's come obviously a long
Yeah,
way,
she's
but you might want to watch
very
her
well behaved.
clapping. She obviously she's become just spectacular.
I had a green anaconda when I was a teenager.
Like you
and,
do.
Yeah,
Excellent
like
choice.
people do. Yeah, and I may have been tagged a few times by that animal, but yeah, this is a very well behaved anaconda.
She needs a name, by the way. So if you've got name suggestions for a yellow anaconda, this will be the biggest snake in Clint's reptile room. We're putting a lot of work into her. She's very special. She's also the most expensive snake I've ever purchased. So I'm going to take her name very seriously, and I want really good suggestions. But should we get a couple questions in?
Yes.
We could talk about just.
Oh, there's all kinds of stories.
Yeah, you've got a list of stories. You've got a
Yeah,
list
I've got
of
a
stories.
list, 3 pages of
Talk about
local
coral
stories.
snakes at some point. We had to talk a little bit about.
Oh,
about
you were mentioning the
those, but-
locals clapping. I was just fascinated how the locals reacted to certain animals we'd bring in. Like the Bushmaster, they were actually pretty reluctant to go near that guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because if it bites you where we were, you die.
Yeah.
And they're very low key, but man, I can see why they'd be cautious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 8 foot long, extremely venomous animal, which could get over your boots.
With rad spikes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if they weren't so laid back, I would have been much more worried about Bushmasters.
Yeah. Until they're not laid back. Also.
Yep. No. Yeah. Then that's the one thing about them is they're a little bit like gaboon vipers in that, when you've got a snake that's striking at you regularly, you know exactly what it can do.
Right.
But when it's just sitting there doing no things, you have no idea what it
Yeah.
might do. When
Right,
it
yeah.
suddenly.
And I'll tell you
explodes.
that's what makes kind of a side here, but that's what makes the fertile ants so dangerous down there. That you have these, and we had someone walking in flip flops from this group to the shower in camp in completely cleared, no vegetation on the ground, who has experience with snakes. Gus from Australia, who almost stepped on one. But the fertile ants, you'll have them just sit there coiled and just hanging out, and then all of a sudden they just freak out and they'll just go berserk. They're very unpredictable. A lot of times they're just all out crazy the whole time, but sometimes people will get lulled to sleep by a fertile ants because it will just sit, and then all of a sudden it just goes crazy. Responsible for a lot of bites and a lot of deaths in
Yeah.
South and Central
They
America.
were the snake that I was. Whenever I go to the shower, that's the only time I'm really in flip flops, and I would only go to the shower with my biggest flashlight because I wanted to be able to watch
Yeah,
for fertile
I
ants.
was
Because
not
the
nearly
fertile
that
ants we
cautious.
found were right in our camp.
Yeah, they like
Yeah, I
the
found one.
cleared areas.
Yes, yeah, Will found one.
Oh, I
Was
didn't
that
know
our
you
first
found one.
night?
It wasn't the first night.
Oh,
but,
It was early
by
on.
the next to the path.
Yep, yep.
That's right.
No.
All right, we were gonna do questions.
Okay, a couple super chats.
Oh, super chat! My
Come
button's
on.
in the back. I gotta go get that.
Let's see. Dustin Pollard sent a super chat saying, "Hey Clint, I'm going to be getting a number of Amazon milk frogs, probably 5 or 6. They will be housed in a large aquarium, but the frogs might be somewhat tiny. Is there a way I can make it easy for them to find food?"
There's probably a couple ways. One of them is just to feed them types of food that move around, or have feeding stations where the feeders are in there and they can know. For example, I feed my starry night reed frogs, and I put little bitty cockroaches and stuff inside of a little clear cup. And sometimes I leave that cup in overnight, and the next night I notice the frogs go in there and they wait. They wait in that cup.
Figure it
So
out.
they know that's where food's gonna be. And so if you have these stationary feeders, the other thing is you can tongue feed them. I tongue feed my white street frogs because, you know, they're feeding dubia roaches and dubia roaches go to ground. And so I just tongue feed them both. And man, they are fantastic with it when it comes to feeding response. I mean, you could absolutely hold out a hand and have them just come flying out of the enclosure and land on your hand if you want to do that.
Yeah.
And they'll grab the tongs with one hand and put
Like a spoon.
oh, they're amazing.
Feed themselves. Sometimes if you get, from my perspective, if you get one that's a reluctant feeder, it's good just to put them in something smaller for a little bit until you get them going into a smaller enclosure with some of those same tricks. And then once they get going, you can put them in the bigger. We did see, we heard Amazon milk tree frogs on this trip, but they are always very high. There's actually several species down where we were, and we were hoping to see get some in hand and get pictures of them, but we'd hear them calling frequently, and every single time I would go off trail and I'd be like, yeah, there's no way. That's way too high. Cool animals though.
Man, the frogs at night were insane.
Oh yeah, just to continue.
I was so
Incredibly
exhausted,
loud.
it'd be hard to go to sleep.
That actually was one of the big things that I learned about the rainforest that was a little bit unexpected was I think my expectation originally was that you wouldn't be able to turn around without seeing something. And the reality is you can go a long time without seeing something. You hear so much that you know there is life everywhere. But there's also a million places to hide. So I find that there are places in the desert that I heard that you see as many reptiles. Of course, you see the same 6 species over and over. In the Amazon, basically everything we found was something new.
Yep, they know how to hide though, for sure.
Okay, we got another super chat
Super chat.
from All Canadian Reptile Girl.
Who made? Okay.
Nope.
I want to just tease a little.
No, you can't.
Just go subscribe to her channel, because something really cool is gonna happen there. Really, really cool. Go subscribe to All Canadian Reptile Girl right now. Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay, she says, where are you planning to go on your next
That's
adventure?
a good question.
Will, do you want to talk about that? Because
The possibilities are endless.
yeah. So people have been talking to me about this, and I have a really hard time putting it into words because this was simultaneously one of the coolest things I've ever done and one of the most miserable things I've ever done. The level of suffering is high.
Yeah.
High level suffering.
But we're forgetting more and more every day, so.
Well, even while I was there, and Will,
Yeah.
I had to talk about. Will's like, you can talk to me in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But like honestly, working with Will in the field was a dream, and Will does
Thank
all the things so well that I do terribly, and
We're good
and
there.
so we were a great team, and Will was very, very pleasant, very patient, even though we were doing high level suffering.
It was rough to be patient, but.
I think it genuinely was, and we're all suffering enough that it would be easy to be very short with each other. And Will was delightful, and I felt like, as long as you guys actually like these videos and we can make it make sense, I would like to do a trip of this nature like once a year.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like we have literally 6 straight months of content out of this one trip. We're not going to do it like that, but we could. And so it's not necessary to go maybe more than that because of the level at which we documented things.
100 species, right?
At least.
yeah.
And so
Reptiles and amphibians.
so an obvious place to go in the future that is amazing, and Matt's been many times, is Costa Rica, but I feel like it's too similar. And so I don't want to go to Costa Rica. There'd be too much overlap. I want to go somewhere very, very different. And so I have a couple ideas in mind.
Yeah.
We talked probably about 3 or 4
Yep.
ideas, and I'd love to hear your suggestions as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, I'll tell you some of my top ones if that's not too big of a spoiler. So some of my top ones right now are Thailand, Australia, similarly to Australia, perhaps New Zealand, Madagascar.
That's right. I think those were the top 3 that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think those were our top 3. Matt knows everywhere and when you should go. And so, and I would love for us to be able to bring Matt along too, because Matt, I will tell you, okay, we went with some diehard, hardcore herpers. Will learned that there is a level of being into this that is even well beyond where I am. Like, I all of a sudden seem like kind of a quasi-normal human
You
being.
do. Yeah, you seem.
Wait a sec. I don't like where this is going.
And just so you guys know, like I'm involved in the channel, but I'm by no means a herper or a reptile enthusiast.
He's just a hardcore adventurer.
In
And
fact, at
probably
this
more of
point-
a reptile enthusiast than you used to be.
Well, yeah, the reptiles I know are all in the Amazon. But
It's like most people.
yeah, these people are insane. Matt being one of them.
Well, okay. Now, if you had to identify of the people maybe who don't work for this company and do this every 2 weeks, if you had to name who the most hardcore and
It was Matt. It was Matt. There's no question. It was Matt.
yeah, Matt. You know, I was almost expecting like a group of Matts, but Matt is still in a league of his own.
Yeah.
And I
In
mean
terms
that
of
as
awareness.
not in terms of how into herping you are.
How many miles a day?
8 to 10.
And this is at night.
You
So like, what,
did
3
90
morning?
miles. You did 90
latest-
miles in the
The
rainforest.
latest was 3, but usually
At,
like
by
2 a.m.
himself in the jungle.
Yeah, you'd go with him for a while, and you could hear him out there somewhere. And every now and then he'd pop out of the rainforest. Hello. Yeah, look what I found. You know, and the thing is, Will and I were having a kind of a different experience from everyone else there.
Yeah.
Because everyone else there, during the day, all they needed to do was photograph the animals they were most interested in. Will and I had to research and film every single animal we brought back every night, which meant I woke up at 5:30 in the morning every morning and started researching, and we filmed literally every moment of sunlight until the
Yeah.
sun went down. Then we had dinner, and then we herped. And I don't know when sleeping happened,
Right.
but we had to call it a night a little bit earlier than 3. Especially because I had to also spend 2 hours each night waking up and being itchy. That was part of my night. So in that short little window where I was supposed to be
Your
sleeping,
itch
2 hours
time.
of that was itching time, and I would think about videos because that would get my mind off of
The itching.
the itchiness. And so we couldn't be as hardcore as Matt, but we were with awesome people who were way into herping, and Matt, maybe it's just your energy level for it, but it was inspiring. And I would want you on any trip I went on.
Well, I think we got some fun adventures ahead of us.
Oh
but
my
yeah,
gosh.
that's where my passion, what I really love is just to see animals in the wild that are difficult discovering. That's why even the funny things with the giant silk moths we did,
Yes.
like butterflies are cool, but they're easy to observe. Silk moths, most people never know that they even exist. So that's the same thing with a
We
lot
found
of
some
these
cool
animals.
moths there.
Just these reptiles that people, you just don't see, And we saw things that even researchers who have been to these places in dozens of years, like we saw things that have never been found there before. And that's just really fun. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But probably the next place we're going is Florida.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Not on an adventure of this scale, but the next place we're going, we're gonna go see Chandler and film some. I have been to Chandler so many times, and we just hang out and have a great time. And he filmed one video with me there, and I have filmed no videos. And so we are finally going back to film videos with Chandler, and we'll take advantage of being in Florida as well.
And so I'll suggest to you too, like a couple of less exotic than the Thailand, and those are great. Madagascar, Thailand, Australia, especially the
These are the
rainforest
big
and the
trips.
outback would be a lot of fun. But even like the desert experience, there's a real cool desert experience in Baja, California, even in southeast Arizona. A lot of people are familiar
I'm
with
planning to do these
with the
this summer.
Sky Islands in the monsoon season, and that just sounds cool, right?
Yep.
Sky Islands in the monsoon season. Southern California, I know there's some fun places too to discover things that
Absolutely.
some things in the hobby and some things that aren't.
When I answered that question, I was thinking of the big trips, but I'm
Right.
definitely planning on those things.
Yeah.
Maybe sooner than.
Yeah, and
the
I think
next
it'd be
big
good to get viewer input on what sounds the most exciting.
Yes.
What would you want to see the most? Where would you want to see the most?
Absolutely.
Okay, another super chat
Super chat.
from.
And Jason, at some point you've got some news. Ask Jason what his news is.
Another super chat from Sherry LBW says, sounds like you had a great trip. Looking forward to all the cool videos from it.
So cool.
Oh my goodness. It's going to be unreal. I don't know if I should share this because it's so inappropriate.
Uh-oh.
Probably not, but you should.
Just
Okay.
do it.
As you know, current events have been crazy of late as far as just the status of the world. And when we were in the Amazon, we had no electricity, let alone internet. And so we're just occasionally getting updates about what sounded like the start of World War III as we're out there, and we're just out in the middle of the Amazon hearing these updates.
Let's just stay put. Let's just stay in the Amazon.
Yeah, well, honestly, it was like, are we ever going to be able to get out of here? Because there's like talk about things like EMPs, and as stupid as this is, I'm like, that can't happen. We've got too much content we have to share. You guys have to see this. Isn't that insane? That's insane
totally
talk.
inappropriate.
So we
But
need
it's-
triple backups.
We had triple. Yeah, this stuff is unbelievable.
Put it about a lead box. Put it in the lead box.
Steel. It's steel, not
Oh, okay.
Come on. He's so ridiculous. I'm
Come.
so
The layers of nerdiness over here.
Who does this guy
that
think he
is that is Matt's other big level.
Being prepared.
Yeah, he's a prepper.
Not
Okay. Another super chat from Liam Lives On. He says, all Canadian Reptile Girl and Clint in the same place. My Patreon is coming to life. Glad you had a great trip. Hoping to get my first reptile in a few months. Making my bioactive currently.
I'm so excited to hear what you picked. That's going to be exciting, and I want to. If you post any pictures of the bioactive enclosure, I'd love to be tagged on Instagram so I can see them.
Let's see. Jacob Guthrie sent a super chat saying, hey Clint, it's Jacob from the reptile room last night. Tanya gave me permission to come back on Monday before we leave. Thank you again for everything you all do. Also, hello to Jason, Will, and Matt.
Jacob he visited from Florida,
awesome.
and so he came up here, and a major part of the reason for their visit was to come to the reptile room, and I was so glad that I got to meet you guys. You're super cool, and I'm super excited you're going to be back on Monday.
Let's see. Sherry LBW sent a super chat saying, hoping to make the Tinley Fall show. Seriously, hope you guys can be there.
Jason,
It's a
We going?
possibility. It's a possibility.
when is it?
Fall.
Yeah, but fall matters because I have something happening in the
In
end
the
of the
fall?
summer. But I wasn't able to make the Tinley show that is today, but we are hoping to be able to make it. I'm hoping, and I know we've wanted to make it back to Tinley. Tinley's became quite crazy immediately after the Tinley we went to. It was the last one for a long time, but now we'd like to go. Have you ever been?
I've never been to that one.
Have you been to a show like that, like a giant show?
In San Diego, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd never been to a giant one before, so like the Wasatch show was kind of the biggest show
Oh, yeah.
I'd been to, and that Wasatch show is fun because I love it, and it's got all the reptile community from Utah. But you go to Tinley, and it's like
Yeah.
all of the reptile community from the United States. Like I go to the Rapashi booth, and I'm talking to this guy, and I look down at his name tag, and it's Alan Rapashi, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are dangerous though. My wife will tell you that I go to one of those, and it's just so unlikely I come home unscathed, which means unaccompanied by.
well, you got to ship things though, which
something
adds another
else.
level of complexity to buying anything. It's harder to
Yeah.
impulse buy something.
Yeah. You can't just put it in a sock and put it in your suitcase? No, you can't do that.
We do not endorse any of the comments that
I'm
Matt
just
made.
joking. Snakes on a plane. No, you do have to do that, but it's not that difficult to ship things correctly.
Yes, no, and they've got shipped
They're
reptiles
dangerous.
right there,
Yeah.
and
Just added expense.
yeah.
October 8th and 9th, FYI.
Okay, that works. That works on that leash. That works.
Sherry LBW sent another super chat
Super chat.
saying, please spill the news, Jason.
There you go.
My family, my wife and I, and our kiddo, we welcomed a new a new baby to our family. My wife was pregnant, and she gave birth on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So,
No clapping, remember,
Yeah,
on the anaconda.
Yep, no, yeah, don't clap the anaconda.
I heard not to do that, I don't know why, but.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot with that one, but yeah, it's so exciting. And we didn't know until this morning if Jason would be able to be here or not. And so
Thank you for
I'm really,
letting us know.
really excited that
The
Jason-
best question.
Thank you, Karen, for.
yeah, thank you, Karen.
The best question was Will's.
Yeah.
Are you
Are
satisfied
you
with
satisfied
the
with your child?
What the heck?
Does it meet your standards?
That is the weirdest question ever.
I've never heard that question in my life.
That's I think why we'll ask it.
It was great, just to be,
I didn't get an answer.
create an awkward situation.
Caden, my brand new son,
Oh,
is great.
It's wholly satisfactory.
He is
8
wholly
out of
sa-
10. Have you rated him yet?
He's a
Oh,
5 out of
man.
5
Five.
lizards. Come on.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know if you know this, but my wife is the youngest of 7. So her oldest nephew is just like 4 years younger than she is. And his name is Caden. And her second nephew, his name is Hunter.
Nice.
Same family. So
Hold
their
on,
first
hold
2
on.
kids.
Okay, what's their other kid's name so I know what to name my
Yeah,
other kid?
well, so far you've managed to divine them on your own. I'm just excited to see where it goes from here. And you haven't done it in order, but you did
Okay.
get the first 2 names correct.
All right, nailing it.
That's interesting.
Nailing it.
So
I was gonna ask if it was het for albino or anything like that.
yeah, but yeah. If you are struggling for name ideas,
I know which family to turn
yes,
to.
you know
Yeah.
exactly.
Good.
Like I don't know what to name it. Here's the next 2 we had. You take your choice. Take your pick of those 2 names.
I like it. Let's talk about another story.
So I think we should talk about coral snakes for a few
Yeah.
minutes.
Let's do it because a lot of I've been posting some pictures. I've only posted 1 picture. I posted it both on Instagram and YouTube, and a lot of people had they accompanied us on this trip would now be dead. So let's talk about coral snakes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nonstop, everyone loves to comment, right? Red on yellow and the rule, and even in the United States, that is not really a good idea. It's at least, generally speaking, accurate with the species, but every species can have variants, right? And so, and it happens all the time. I can show you lots of pictures of Florida corals, or coral snakes, southeastern species, as well as the Sonoran species that do not follow the rule. But when you get south of the border, it gets crazy. We found 4 species of coral snake, which was great. The 5 is possible, but even that 4th, one of the species there, Langsdorffi, which I don't know that it has a common name.
Langsdorff's coral snake.
Langsdorff's,
Literally.
yeah, that's probably it. So that one is very uncommonly seen and an amazing looking animal. I was really excited to be able to see that one. But none of them followed the rule.
Yeah, well, no, one did.
Absolutely none.
One of them is red on yellow because it's only red and yellow. And the others
There's no black.
that have black on them, none of them follow.
But yeah, if you complete the rule, red on black, venom black, friend of Jack, whatever you like,
Yeah.
then you're
You're
still
dead.
confused because there's no black. So
Yeah.
you might not think
Not a coral snake at all.
Yeah, it's a coral
Not even a
snake
tricolored
because
snake.
there's
Why
no
am I
black.
doing a rhyme?
And the mimics.
Yeah. Good mimics.
So there's one mimic in particular that on a previous trip to these research stations, one of the visitors who had a lot of experience with coral snakes, he's out there and collecting what he thought was the mimic, and you'll see.
Was
I'm
it a
sure
calico snake?
It was a calico snake.
Was it the one we had or a different mimic?
It was the one that you grabbed, and then we found another one in camp the last night, right after the fertilance. It was just high
Yeah.
chaos there. All of a sudden, Gus is taking pictures of the fertilance in camp, and he's like, "Oh, there's a coral snake!" And I went over and he's like, "No, it's Oxyropus. It's the calico, but they look very, very similar."
The greatest thing happened, as far as I'm concerned, too, because I found the mimic while we still had the model.
Because we only kept them for a day.
Yes, and so we were able to film them
Side by side.
side by side. And I can tell you, when I found that mimic, I spent a long time hooking it and looking at it. Like, okay, what do I have here?
Yeah.
Because,
Best to be safe.
yeah, and my policy was always treat them like hots until you know they're not. But I was watching that. I just made that up
That's
just
right.
now.
You gotta add the treat them like they're hots until they're nots.
Maybe if you just said hot.
Yeah.
But well, I did. Treat them like they're hot
Not
until you
until
know
they're
they're not. But so yeah, we gotta get that on a T-shirt. That is a T-shirt. You're honest?
Okay.
Those are
All
T-shirts.
right.
I think it's about people.
That's fine. treat them like they're hot
Yes,
until
it
you know
still
they're
works.
not.
So no context on the shirt. People are
No,
reptiles.
just just our
Treat 'em like
chameleon
they're
at the
hot
bottom.
until you know they're not.
We do a tricolored chameleon. Oh, that is so great. It makes me happy. Okay, anyway, back to where we are.
You're pretending.
So yeah,
you're
I
acting
humped it for a
careful.
long time, studying that snake out before we knew what it was and exactly how to
Yeah.
approach catching it. And it was the mimic, but I knew very well what that model looked like.
They look so
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, very similar, and
Same
I'm sure
banding
you'll have
pattern.
pictures to show you eventually, but that just, I mean, it just shows you. And so I don't think I finished the story. That collected the one, thought it was the mimic, and it tagged him, and he knew immediately by the pain and the way the bite was that
Tastes like pennies.
that he was. Yeah, I didn't hear too much about his description of pennies, but.
That's usually how people know
Usually.
they've been envenomated.
And knew he was in trouble, and they were far. They were at the further research station. I think they were at Madre Selva, and so they had to shoot him to a hospital quickly, carry him out. Which we did have another story. We did have
Jay.
someone who had to be carried out in our adventure, but that was for what was feared to be dengue fever or malaria. It turned out to be. I don't know that we know exactly what it was.
Wasn't
yet,
those
but he's
two.
doing better.
He's doing really well. I've been keeping up with him.
But
But
he
we,
had to be
we were
carried out.
hiked in a mile
Yeah.
from the river, which was in one location like 25 miles from the city, and the other location like 75 miles from
Yeah.
the city. So we
Yeah,
were
a
out
long
there.
ways, and it was kind of touch and go for that individual with
Yes.
that coral snake, but they did
Oh.
make it happily. But yeah, dangerous situation. Be very, very careful with anything that you do not know for certain what it was. And Gus didn't grab the one that was in camp. I got a good look at the head, and my
Yeah.
wife would have said grabbed it too soon, but
The heads
I
are
was
very
confident.
narrow.
Yeah, different shaped head.
Yeah,
So-
that was. In fact, this is not the mimic, but if you go to our Instagram today, I posted a picture of a calico snake, so a different species, but a very cool snake, and it's in the same group of snakes that the mimics are.
And just snakes in general, we talk about mimics, but people with baby snakes and things that you just really need to be careful. We had a group of people come the last 2 days that were naturalists, didn't have reptile experience, and I walked with them the entire time when we were out on trails, but then I left them safely back at camp for the last night, and I said, all right guys, stay in camp, I'm gonna go do some more, I'm gonna go walk some more trails and see what I can see there
Found
since
that
it's the
cute little
last
brown
night.
snake.
And then that little brown snake was found right in camp, and one of the ladies there was like, oh, it looks like a garden snake from back home. That was, and so,
We should
and,
catch
and
it.
they wanted to catch it to show Matt. We better get him, to show Matt. And they're looking at it, and luckily, happily.
Is that right when you stumbled out of the woods?
No, I wasn't out yet. I was probably still another hour. But when I did come back, there's this lights there. I can see there's commotion, and they're like, "Who is that? Matt, get over here! You abandoned us!" I'm like, "I left you at camp, safely at camp," and it was a fertilance. And they called Matt Cage over, and he looked at it. He's like, "Yeah, no, extremely venomous. Thank goodness." And that guy who almost picked it up, and maybe not almost, but who considered picking it up, he was pretty shell shocked the rest of the night. You could just see it. He was like, yeah, he was realizing what could have happened.
Yeah. Yeah, when you have a moment like that, where you realize how close you were to disaster, you got to spend some, like, honestly, when we filmed, only Jason was there with me at this time, but when we filmed the Gaboon Vipers at Nerd, we had really good assistance and everything, and at the time, as long as I could remember where I was and didn't get overly animated in my hand movements, and you notice like I'm kind of staying over, and because was trying not to forget where that snake was, but it's there on the table, and even now when I watch that video, I'm a little bit like, was that snake really far enough away? Like, what does it do when it explodes exactly? Like, like it makes me a little nervous to see that, because rattlesnakes, I know really well what they can do. And the king cobras, I know what they can do. And, and I'm, super focused on them, but I don't know exactly what the range is like on that. And at the time, it felt like it was plenty far away. But when I watched the video, I'm like, how far away was it? I just can't quite remember.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get a little bit of that, like, anxiety of like,
Yeah, and when people travel, that's, you get excited, you find an animal you don't know, you really want to observe it and be close to it. People be, on a trip somewhere, and you get to be more familiar with your local herps, your local reptiles and snakes in particular. But especially when you're out and about, you do a trip like this, people watching this may be considering doing something like this. Just be super careful. You can get pictures without having to get hands-on if you don't know.
my friend Kevin, here he was out herping in the desert, and he flipped over something, and he flipped a hognose snake. And he was super excited, and he was about to grab it, and then he goes, wait a second, we don't have hognose snakes in Utah. He grew up in Colorado like I did, and then he got a better look at it, and it was a baby rattlesnake.
Oh, there you go.
And he'd almost grabbed it.
That's happened to people with Massasaugas and hognose snakes in Kansas, I know.
Oh, yeah.
We had one other story that was pretty funny, and I need to share this with you guys. I think you've seen it, but a lot of times animals were up high, and sometimes we couldn't get them. Sometimes we'd be in a boat, and we'd use something to try to get to them so we could observe them closer. But sometimes it just wasn't possible. We had a huge green iguana that was just too high. We probably could have gotten that one, but maybe someone would have gotten hurt.
Oh, can you imagine having to fight an iguana that
Yeah,
size?
that'd be a lot of fun, actually.
Well,
Just
we
full body.
we caught a big
grab.
one like that when I was with Chandler down in Florida, and I guess that did make it into our herping video. And that thing, I mean, it could bite your fingers off.
Yeah, I have some scars from a spiny iguana.
Yeah, I got bitten by a spiny iguana, same time.
But we had, some people are more willing than others to climb for these, and my good friend now, Luis, was always ready to climb. It's like,
Luis is
Mateo,
such a cool guy.
yeah, vamos.
He's like the coolest
Okay,
guy
let's
ever.
do it. So he climbs. There's one night we found a big, probably the biggest of the trip, tree boa, an Amazon tree boa, and he wanted to go bring that thing down. I'm like, okay.
Was that the
let's-
orange one?
No, that wasn't the orange. This was it was a gray phase, but it was really, really large, and he wanted to bring it down. So he climbs this tree, and as he's getting up there, I mean, he's way up there, and I'm like, Luis, cuidado. I can just see disaster, right? As he gets up there, I mean, you can imagine the higher you get. This wasn't a really thick tree, even though it was very tall, and that tree just starts leaning a little bit. And there's no, he's stuck, and I can just hear oh, and the tree just goes, and it falls all the way down. So he's just right in this tree. I think I shouted something like, Tarzan, or something. And
So you're mocking him as he's falling out of
yeah,
it.
no, it was really
I got
fun
you.
for me. I'm filming, right,
Yeah, I wasn't under the tree. What's the problem?
He's got a flashlight in his mouth, which amazingly, he kept that flashlight in his mouth. And he's like, ah, and I go, and I'm, helpless to help him, so I may as well just enjoy the experience. And he jumps and grabs onto another tree, and the tree comes down the rest of the way, and there's the boa right in front of me, and he's like, just striking at me, furious, of course, with the experience. He wasn't hurt, but he was a little bit unnerved.
Well, they're
Louise
pretty
was
bitey
fine.
anyway.
I'm like, yes.
So he
He
stayed
jumped
in
into
another
the
tree.
He jumped into the
He
next tree.
is Tarzan.
That was great. I have footage of this.
You weren't mocking him. You were making a suggestion. Be Tarzan.
Tarzan, yeah.
Yeah.
I saved his life, I think.
I think obvious.
Yeah.
And
That
now
was pretty
Will
cool.
swung on a vine.
Oh yeah,
Like Tarzan.
they actually had vines that were hefty.
I love
so I
how they
lived my
had
dream.
vines. With the Amazon people. Yeah, no, it is, everything is Jurassic down there, right?
Yeah.
Just, everything is.
Huge trees.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Massive
Will at one point wanted to verify exactly how tall.
Yeah. So this is like the first day.
It led to one of our best finds of the trip.
Oh yeah, I took my DJI drone out and I flew it up into the canopy, and I thought I had cleared the canopy, and I had most of the canopy, just not the tree that I was looking at. It was huge. It towered above the canopy, and so it got stuck. And
Way up there.
It made horrible noises.
Yeah.
And it's so high. Because this is like the biggest tree we ever saw.
It was massive. Like, the trunk was the size of a room. It was insane. Fortunately, there was a storm that night, and it fell. And so we were looking for it the next, was it that same
And it
night?
matters because the drone was insured, but not from loss.
Loss
So if
effect,
it was
yeah.
if it was 200 feet up in a tree,
Yeah.
you're out of luck. If it's
It's not
fell
common.
out of a 200-foot tall tree, giddy up.
And so then when we find it, Clint's yelling, "We found a DJI!"
We go the next night, and I think we had just seen something, cool, and we're all like, when you're hiking the jungle at night, you're listening for sounds of the jungle, but you're also listening for others that are hiking with you to find something, because some things disappear like that,
Yeah.
right? And so Gus and I think it was Gus and I,
Yeah.
we're back, maybe 50 yards, and we hear DJI, which I had no idea. I was like, maybe
It's a
they're
common
trying
name.
the scientific name.
Common.
We had this big ongoing thing about whether to use scientific names or common names, right? DJI, I'm like, the tone of the voice is big find.
Yeah. And it was.
It was. It's a huge
So we
find.
come running.
I'm running.
I think we had like a smoky jungle frog. We like, let him go, and then go, 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 go. What is it?
It's a drone.
A now broken drone, but one recovered.
Yes.
I think that I may have broken it when I stepped on it.
Was that you?
And yelled, "What are you doing, crying wolf?"
It wasn't a wolf. That was a big find.
Totally
Yeah.
cried wolf. We did find something cool right after that. I don't remember what it was, but it was at least partially.
Wasn't that one of the corals?
Oh, that was the
That
first.
was
It was
coral,
a ribbon
yeah, the
coral.
ribbon coral.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, see, this is what you yell for, you guys. A real find. I mean, these guys would yell too, though, for like at the beginning, like spiders. I'm like, guys,
Spiders.
we're not here for spiders. Leave the spiders alone. The first night, we're just gathering things, right? We're putting them so they can be observed, documented. And by the way, just so the conservation mind out there, which we all are, these animals were released where they were found. So
We would tag
we
them
were careful.
on GPS.
Mark where
Yeah.
they were. But like we come back and there's these containers of animals and good old we had folks from all over the place, and Christoph from Switzerland was one of our really good
The
identifiers.
guy, he lives down there now.
And
And
Iquitos, yeah.
does this all the time.
And he's marking them up, and I see this container, and it's got like skulls all over it, and it's like X's venomous, which usually those were separated. I'm like, what in the world? In one of these small containers, what was collected? And it was a banana spider. These guys had grabbed a banana spider. I don't think they knew it was a banana. I'm sure you were careful with it.
Yeah, I've never been bitten by a spider when I was awake. So like I'm good with spiders.
It was awake.
You roll on a spider every now and then, you
Right,
wake up
right.
with a spider bite, but I've never been bitten by a spider awake. And so I was very careful collecting this, but it looked just like a ginormous hognose wolf spider.
Right.
It's not.
It was not. And
It's the
if you knew-
scariest
and
spider ever.
Did you know what could happen to your
I didn't know that.
anatomy
So
at the
here's,
time you collected
not
that
when I
spider?
collected it. By the time I released it, and the thing is too, I heard rumors about the effects of this spider, but I'd also talked to somebody who'd been bitten, and I got the idea that the rumors were maybe overblown until I really talked to the person who'd been bitten.
Yeah.
And asked specifically
How
and
many
the-
days? And how much worse than Viagra?
and how many years,
Yes.
and
How many years?
the rumors were all true, and we have a whole video on this, but it is anyway. I spent the
get
last
bitten by a
24
banana
hours that we were out there I went from being pretty darn concerned about these spiders, because the shower one was one of these.
Can we be a little more specific?
Well, I think
I said
Is that
Viagra.
inappropriate?
well, no, we'll get to it, but I think it might be too big of a spoiler. But
Okay.
these are incredible and very terrifying. And yes, we did catch a few.
And they're everywhere.
I mean, for
In the
instance,
shower.
had Jason been bitten by one of these 10 months ago, maybe there wouldn't be a baby.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think there was like a 2 to 3 day window where you might have gotten a baby.
A 2 to 3
And
day
then-
window.
A 2 to 3 day window.
Wow.
It's like a last hurrah.
All right.
We're about at the hour, right?
Okay, so what other questions do we have?
So a bunch of people were asking questions about your tie. They're like, what is his tie? We can't quite make it out.
This was the very first tie that anybody ever sent to me during a live stream. I've only been, to date, Only 2 ties have been sent to me, and I was gonna wear the other one, but yesterday I went. But I love this one. And yesterday I went to a rock show that used to happen every year, but COVID threw it off. And I look for fossils while I'm there, and I only got one, but it's very
Rock. I was
know,
like,
me too.
I was like, what band?
And so I wore this tie there, and I had to wear it today because I love it so much. Thank you so much for sending it. And yeah, if you haven't seen the other one, you got to watch our last live stream because the other one is like a specially made tie just for me, and it is super duper cool. And I've been wearing both of these all the time, especially.
It's missing a shark.
You want to see what I got?
You have
You
a
have
shark
shark?
one? There he goes.
Okay, while you're doing that, you can still hear me.
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Damascus saying, hello from Tom and Becky Bluehair in Manchester, UK, the reptile lighting nerds. Hope you're well. Hope you are well. We'll maybe be visiting soon. So that's super fun.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, there's another super chat. Gotta find it here. From another one from Sherry LBW.
Sure, you're the best.
She says, I am not in South Carolina anymore, but if you are ever in central KY, what is that?
Kentucky?
Kentucky, there you go, area, let me know. Not as warm as South Carolina, but prettier.
Some good herping. there,
Prettier?
too.
I've heard South
Mud
Carolina is like
snakes.
paradise. Oh yeah,
Some
mud
cool
snakes are
animals there.
unbelievable if you've never seen them.
Pines.
So this is not new. This is old. I've had this for many years. This is one of the earliest fossils I got. So this is a megalodon tooth, and
I mean, it's like ancient, so it's definitely not new.
yeah, and this was kind of the biggest, nicest megalodon tooth I could afford, because megalodon tooth can be very, very expensive. In fact, yesterday I saw a megalodon tooth, $1,800. And
I know someone who finds them about once a month in Florida. He scuba dives for them. I could hook you up
yes, please.
for a cost.
So anyway, I had this one, and this gives you some idea how big megalodons would be, but it's missing parts off of both sides, and so you can't really envision exactly how big this tooth was. And yesterday I found the biggest, most complete tooth I've ever been able to afford. Like I said, this same booth had an $1,800 tooth, and they had one this size in about the same condition but complete. It was $1,500. I can't afford those, but I did get this bad boy, and what I really like, it's actually, if you measure it, it's only a tiny bit longer than my previous tooth. But the thing about it that I like is it's just missing one side, and since you've got the complete other side, you can very well, I think, put together exactly how big this tooth was. And the main thing is I'm not about it as an art piece. I'm about it for the educational value that it has. What I need now, in fact, I would love it if someone would send one to me, is a great white shark tooth, so I can show somebody side by side, because that's what really communicates to you how truly colossal this tooth is. Because a great white, a 20-foot great white shark tooth is roughly about this long, and so this is like close to 3 times the length. And when something is 3 times longer, that doesn't mean it's 3 times the size. It's many, 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 many times the size. And so this is Carcharodon megalodon, the great white shark eater of whales.
Cool.
I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I look forward to the rock show.
We need
I
to
got
open-
packages to open?
We need to open some up. These are old. I forgot to bring them from our last live stream.
My Skeletool came with me to the Amazon, and despite being lost our entire 56-hour journey home, arrived at my house about an hour and a half after I did.
We use that a lot. Don't
Yeah,
we?
it was valuable.
We had weird stuff happen. It seemed like we
Oh, but
always had to
you
use for it.
pre-open everything. I don't even
Yes,
need
I
a
do.
Skeletool.
Yeah, I don't want to waste people's time opening stuff.
Oh, so, okay.
Anthrax.
Who is this from? Do you know?
It's on the front. It is,
Oh, it's from Anthony?
yeah.
Anthony has his own dedicated piano here in the reptile room, and he has given me some unbelievably cool skulls He gave me a tuatara skull and a Gila
Wow.
monster skull and a gaboon viper skull,
Wow.
which I use as educational tools all the time. And I think he asked me a while back if there was a skull I really wanted, and we will see if this is what I dream it might be, but the size seems right, and oh my gosh. This would really be something. This would really, really be something.
Suspense.
This feels like a skull. He also sent Leisha a bodacious giant stuffed gorilla. She's always had this dream of hugging a gorilla. Anyway. Oh man. I think this one's real. It's got a couple little fragments that have chipped up. This, okay, this is a common snapping turtle
Yeah.
skull, and I think this is not a clone. I think this is a real skull. This is awesome. One of the things I love in particular about the common snapping turtle skull is turtles in general are often lumped in as, well, they're often classified as being anapsids, which means they have no holes behind the eyes for their jaw muscles to pass through. The reality is they are diapsids, but their holes have largely been secondarily lost. In snapping turtles, though, you can see them very well. It's just the backs are missing. So there's one hole up there, and there's the other hole right there, but just the back portion of the actual holes is missing. And so this, look at those jaw muscles. These are huge. In fact, I'm gonna run back real quick, and I will show you what this looks like when it's got skin on it.
We have decapitated head.
You have a skin head skull?
Here, I don't even have to run all the way to the back. I can do this right here.
Oh, I see. We're going live.
You guys do your thing. I'm gonna check something real quick.
Here's those jaw muscles. Look at that guy. He's such a crabby fellow. These are my favorite turtles in the world, and I'm very, very excited. Thank you so much, Anthony. That was so thoughtful, and that will be so valuable here in the room to teach a lot of people a lot of really, really cool anatomy and phylogenetics, evolutionary biology. Super cool. This is Nipper. Bubba Chunk is who I was thinking about grabbing. But look at those nostrils up in the roof of his mouth. Hey, Nipper, look up. You see those? Oh yeah, he's such a grumpy fellow. The difference between him and Bubba is friendliness.
This is more of the common
Yeah, this is the common snapping turtle.
reaction by a common.
Look at his
turtle.
tongue. Look at his tongue. You see that little mountain in there? If we get really lucky, he'll open that up and take a breath. And whoa!
Yeah.
Was that just out in the mailbox?
Yeah. Just hanging out.
All right. We got lots of stuff to open. I should cry my hands. Whoa! That was close.
Did he snap at you?
He snapped at me,
Ah.
and I was distracted by mail. I should
Never
wash
be
my hands.
distracted when you're
Here,
on the road.
Will,
Yeah.
tell them how cool you are.
I don't know. Do we have any other stories to share?
Oh, there's all kinds
You
of
got a
stuff.
list?
We
We
saw
have
pink river dolphins
Oh,
on
yeah.
multiple occasions.
River dolphins.
That's a real neat animal.
Oh, 2 giant tarantulas that mated. We mated 2 giant
You
tarantulas.
mated them?
Yeah, we did. And we have video of it.
Oh, I didn't.
From
I
3
didn't know that.
angles.
From 3 angles.
It was staged.
Nice.
I tell you not to clap the iguana or the anaconda,
Yeah,
and then I
thanks.
just leap over the couch. Just
Trying to
Land
encourage
on
the
her.
bite.
yep. Probably wouldn't be me.
Yeah, all kinds of awesome insects. I mean, I like
Now-
everything but besides the arachnids. I can appreciate all of those. But the peanut bug, you know,
Yeah.
That's one thing that we didn't get to
amazing
see as
harlequin
much.
beetle.
Oh yeah, they're harlequin beetles. So that's one thing we didn't get to see as much as we probably will on any future trips, because we didn't have electricity.
Yeah. So yeah, I love to, when we do these trips, run a black light at night or a mercury vapor light, and we just get all kinds of animals coming in. In this circumstance, we were so remote that we had generator power a few hours of the day, and it was not any kind of reliable. It just
No.
was on and off, usually around dinner time.
Our power banks were lifesavers.
Oh.
Yeah, they were important.
Otherwise,
Oh,
we
there
wouldn't
would have
have
been.
footage.
I don't know how we would have done it at all.
Yeah.
Like that was it wasn't an afterthought for me, but it's something that I easily could have not done, and we
Yeah.
independently did it.
We just happened to bring 4, and we used them all.
Oh, yes, and the thing was, we only had electricity while the gas generator was running, which was only during the day and at relatively few times.
Yeah.
Which means we could only charge our cameras at the only time we could use our camera. And we literally needed every drop of sunlight, so we would have filmed a third the content
Yeah.
at best.
That, yeah.
Cameras, flashlights, all that stuff is tough when you're in the middle of nowhere. But we still found some amazing insects. However,
Yes,
on
crazy stuff.
future trips, one of the things, a black light in a sheet. If you do a Google search for, black lighting giant silk moth or something like that, you'll see some pretty crazy stuff. In Thailand is one of the places, but
You don't have
really
to be
all
anywhere
over.
cool to find some
No.
unbelievable stuff you've never seen before. If you go somewhere cool,
you can really see neat stuff.
You-
I've had situations with sheets almost where you can't see the sheet anymore because they're so attracted to these things, especially when you get out where there's no light pollution. And we can do that here in Utah. In the United States, there's lots of places. Southeastern Arizona, people go there every year during the monsoon season to find, giant
I wanna do
rhinoceros beetles and great big silk moths, really amazing insects, all kinds of colorful things that you don't see because they're nocturnal.
I've seen people that raise those rhinoceros beetles, and the larvae are
Rub,
like this
yeah.
long.
Uh-huh.
And I used to raise beetles, and so I know that the larvae get a lot bigger than the adults because that's all the energy they have for the metamorphosis, and then they're done growing. They're not going to get any bigger, and so they need to get big enough that they have the energy and the material to become an adult. So the grubs get absolutely
Yeah, a
gargantuan.
lot bigger than the adults.
And they take
are.
years to get the
Yeah.
size.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and they eat a lot of those down there in the Amazon. There's one in particular, one of the grubs, that we didn't get a chance to eat. I know in previous
they
trips
talked
they've done
about it.
that, but they really like them. They eat them a lot. That's kind of a staple for some of the people down there.
Just like Lion King.
Just like Lion King. Goes down. I don't remember what the line is, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, all kinds of amazing
Huge
insects.
walking stick insects.
Whoa.
Yeah,
And
up
that
to
we
a
found
foot long. You can
Yeah,
see those.
we'd already documented some really big ones,
Yeah.
and then like on our last night there, we found a really big one, the foot long one. It was
Yeah, I didn't get to see that one. Seen them in Costa Rica, but they're amazing. The size those things can get to.
this one was 5 feet, but the
Didn't
body.
get any film of the 5-footer, right?
Well, no, we did. We got footage of the 5-footer.
Wow.
It had.
Can't wait to see that.
It was 1 foot long and had 5 feet.
That's
Nice.
right. Yeah, that's where you're going with this.
Missing a leg.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Did you eat that leg? Is that why it was missing?
No, we ate the other.
They're big enough.
Oh,
You can sustain
it would have
yourself
been a
on
heck of a meal.
insects.
Yeah, as long as you don't die.
Yep, just eat the right ones, just like mushrooms.
I thought we had learned one lesson. We talked about it a little bit before we started filming, and now you're
What's that?
encouraging. Don't bite wildlife.
Yeah,
Don't mind.
you never know what could happen, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like in Costa Rica.
Yeah, there's 2 rules.
Don't bite wildlife.
Yeah, treat
Yeah.
it like it's hot until you know it's not, and don't bite wildlife.
Don't
I
bite
mean, the
back.
plants alone. Like, so the food down there was excellent, by the way.
Yeah.
Really good food, but the rules were, and this is a rule that I learned when I was in Brazil, living there for a couple of years in the Amazon basin, was you don't eat vegetables that aren't peeled or cooked. Because even though they would take care where we were, because there were gringos, with the water, the juice can be dangerous, but they're using purified water for the juice, and the fruit. There's fruit there that doesn't grow anywhere else in the world. It only grows on the Amazon River. Cupuaçu and graviola, which goiabada I think is the name of it. That's a little bit bigger range, but just amazing fruits, and we could drink those safely. But the vegetables, the different story, and that may have been what contributed to Jay's situation.
Did you not eat any
Who
vegetables?
had to get hauled out?
I didn't, and I actually didn't really
No, I
have
didn't
any
eat
major
vegetables. So you had some
gastrointestinal
issues.
I
disturbances.
downed it. Yeah.
Didn't you hear me say not to
Well, I thought we were safe because I thought they were.
No,
like-
because they'll wash, and they don't think about that part lots of times. Just like they're washing,
Yeah.
you just can't wash everything with
Oh, dang.
purified water is very limited in
I might
supply.
have guessed.
Yeah, during
That may have been the reason, but when I lived in Brazil, there was a woman down there who was with us, and she, we were in a meeting once, and we heard screams coming from the bathroom, and we go over there, and she had thrown up 5 white worms like that long, and long story, but she bounced around from hospitals there in Cruzeiro do Sul, which is right in the middle of the Amazon, very remote, down to Sao Paulo, to San Francisco, and then back to Sao Paulo. And they finally discovered that she had these parasites that were they're usually, first, they were not common, they're rare, but when they were found in horses typically. And she was a
Better than a cat.
vegetarian, which is fine, but down there, you have to be very careful. She was eating salads, and she got it from lettuce. And she's still not, I mean, I think she still has some issues today, so
That's
you have to be very careful with that, I don't know how we started that.
You know,
but
going down to the Amazon, those kind of horror stories are what really scared me.
that
Yeah.
was-
Those are the
sorry for
worst.
everyone to have it.
So many.
But
scary
there's usually a rule for everything to stay safe, like the plants.
As
You
long
know,
as you know it.
I'm just now recovering
Oh, yeah.
from.
How's it look?
That thing is the best.
That was the grossest
Black
thing
plague.
ever.
Yeah, one of the worst stings that you can get is from a palm tree.
Yeah. And it's not just any, and there's spiny palms galore. Everything protects itself. You know, I think that The Rock said in, amazingly, in Jungle Cruise, somewhat accurately, he said, everything here is trying to kill you, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of true down there.
To
There's,
defend itself from.
that's exactly what I was going to say. It's actually they're trying to protect themselves. You either, you know, you're also consuming, so you are trying to kill, but that's for food typically. But everything there really has to have an excellent defense system and an excellent offense, you know, to be a carnivore down there, because there's no scarcity. Instead, there's just competition, like insane levels of competition. So every plant has to have its own set of protections. And when we're getting off trail, and you know, sometimes I do that, you just can't ignore the call of an Amazon milk tree frog.
No,
Cannot
ignore the call.
that'd be inappropriate.
And so I get off trail, and I think it may have been, I can't remember if I was looking in a bushmastery spot, which that's a word, or if it was something like that. But I was off trail, and I just brushed the underside of this plant, and my hand, I mean, it
was gnarly.
really nasty for a long time. You never know, like everything there, you don't have to eat it to get in trouble.
Yes.
Jeremy got it too, and he had
Yeah,
huge
yeah. His
blisters
was
all over.
more.
Not as intense, but spread, but
Yeah.
covered a bigger area.
Yeah.
I just had them, and I don't know, maybe there's still things in my hand. It seemed like there were spines in there because there was like pus everywhere that were. Anyway, that's enough of that.
Hey, we got some more fan mail that we forgot
Holy
to
smokes.
open from forever
Is that a
ago.
Christmas stamp?
Like I said, forever ago. And also, there's been a few packages and letters that have been sent here, and I realize you guys never checked your mail.
No.
Because there's another one from December
We've
from
checked
your
it
mailbox.
since then. Huh.
Here it is.
It begs to differ.
But fan mail, I'm gonna send. I'm gonna post a link or post the address for fan mail. So please use that one. But here, Clint.
Let's see here.
Yes, there are some Christmas items.
From Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
Therona? Is that who? It's kind of fancy text.
It is
so.
fancy.
Let's see.
Sharona.
Season's
Hey,
greetings
my
from
Sharona,
Arizona.
Sharona.
But thank you for your entertaining videos. Thanks for pointing out the good and the bad about every creature you love so much. Oh, this is awesome. Let's see. I adore my pair. They're curious and good-natured. Even my pet ball python. Let's see what you have. Corn snakes. Yeah, you've got some awesome stuff. Looks like Sharona.
Yeah, there's a
Hi,
song about her.
Sharona.
It's probably, it's probably her.
Thank you so much. I love these cards, and I read them in more detail later.
FYI, Anthony Simone is in the chat.
Anthony, thank you so much. I'm so excited about that skull.
He sent a super chat saying, always love seeing you doing a live stream, my friend. Hope you and the family are doing well. Can't wait for another face-to-face soon. and show you Wanda, my new children's python.
Ooh, I'm excited to see Wanda. And you, of course.
Here is another
All right, let's see.
male.
This one's a big one.
That's a local one, actually.
Yeah, from Mapleton. That's just the town over. They might have just dropped this off. Except they didn't. Had to go to Salt Lake first and then back here. Whoa, look at this cool snake drawing.
That is a species
This is
I'd
from
love to find.
Malachi.
It's an awesome
Thanks
one.
so much for your awesome reptile room and for letting me hold so many snakes. I had a great time there for my birthday. Thank you so much, Malachi. This is awesome. And thanks for coming here to the reptile room. If you guys aren't aware, we're in the reptile room right now, and it is super fun to come here. We're open every Monday and Friday evening, and then we also do special events. So hope to see you soon.
Here's another Christmas timed one.
I don't know how I got the impression that it was a picture of Bob Marley, because that doesn't look like Bob Marley at all. Let's see here. Okay, so it's a one-sided card.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Somebody sent you a Christmas
In a
card.
span of 2 months, I got one tarantula, one tailless whip, 2 scorpions, and many desert beetles. Your pleasure. Let's see. To my eyes in so many ways. Oh, that is so kind. Thank you so much. What a great card too. And you don't look at all like Bob Marley, for the record. So I just like got this little glimpse of it for a second. I'm like, is that a card with Bob Marley on it? Because that'd be pretty neat.
Interesting.
Not at all.
Just saw the hair.
I don't know what I
Glimpse
saw.
of long hair.
I don't know how I got that impression.
Okay, here's the last package. But can you tell people where, if they want to send fan mail, how they should do it?
The best place to send fan mail, obviously, we will check it more regularly, is to our P.O. Box. And every video down in the description has that link, and I think Jason just threw it up there. 770 East Main Street, number 127, Lehi, Utah. For the record, every now and then, our videos had the hashtag 127. And people are like, what is hashtag 127? It is because I didn't put any hashtags, and so it found down in our description the number to our P.O. Box. And that is hashtag 127, mystery revealed. Let's see, who's this from? Kevin from, is that Minnesota?
Minnesota.
This looks like this could be a tie. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, it's a goodie. It's a very goodie. Holy cow, it's another dinosaur tie!
Right on theme.
I love myself a
Perfect.
dinosaur tie. Oh my gosh, I gotta crack into this.
That's nice.
From a company called Barry Wang, so just in case you're associated with that, I want to make sure they get a little credit. Looks like there might be 2 ties. Is this a bow tie and? No, this is a square.
Handkerchief.
Oh, and there's a. Oh, these are cufflinks.
Oh my
Oh my goodness, I've never been so fancy.
pants.
I gotta go French now. Oh wow! I got. Yeah, these are raptor. Yeah, it looks like raptor cufflinks with my square for my coat and the tie. Oh, this is rad. And when you guys send ties, like I wear them often because they're like the coolest ties I have. Look at that.
That's very cool.
Dinosaur tie. This is a great day indeed.
I'm gonna put an address up for ties for me.
Yeah! Oh, there's more in here. Oh my gosh. There's another tie in here. And a letter, I think. Whoa! Cobra tie! Oh man!
That is awesome.
This is a great day. This is a great day. Kevin, thank you so much. Let's see what's. Okay, so let's see here. Kevin's got his own, looks like boas and ball pythons and bull snakes that he breeds. Art forms, constrictors, art forms in nature.
KG constrictors.
Yeah, but it's made out of a snake. KG constrictors. So
Oh, yeah,
check them out.
These are on the chat. I can see.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Let's see here. Hi, Clint. I enjoy your channel very much. Thank you for being such a kind and passionate role model for the reptile hobby. I saw these online and knew you had to have them. You were absolutely right. I'm so excited about them. Thank you so much, Kevin. This is a great day. I don't even know which one to wear. I think Cobra Tie doesn't have any tags on it, so I'm gonna go Cobra Tie.
What's the name of the
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
That had just occurred to me as well.
You guys are on the same wavelength.
Oh, yeah.
What's the name of the? That's all it took.
All right, it's Cobra Tie Day.
Let's see, is there any other major agenda items that you guys wanted to
So many.
talk about?
Because we don't have Patreon questions, we actually have a lot of
Yeah,
time for.
I was a little busy this week. I didn't get around to posting.
Yeah, what were you up to?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry to all our patrons. You guys are awesome. Clint, why don't you tell them about Patreon?
Patreon, honestly, I don't even know if I do justice to how important Patreon is for us. You know, it's Patreon that allows us to do things like this trip. It's Patreon that allows us to not only like cover the expenses of the trip, but also, you know, making videos like these are the type of video we've never made before. Like, we don't know if people watch them, and we so we're doing an experiment, which might mean nobody cares, and you know, it hurts the viewership of our channel, but Patreon gives us a little bit of freedom to try. What do you think? To try experiments like that, and just see, is this the kind of thing that you guys would like to see? How cool that is in the future. And so anyway, Patreon does so much for us, and Jason in particular really puts in a huge amount of work to make sure that there are awesome features. We need to talk over some things, but we are considering a new tier, and I have some ideas for some features for that, but I'll have to run that by Jason before I say anything. But there's some awesome features for our rad fans and stinking rad fans of Patreon. So thank you guys for all that you do. And one of those is we usually ask you if you've got questions, and we make sure we cover them all. But Jason, he was just slacking off this week.
Slacking with the babies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that, you know, generically speaking, just to put you under the bus a little bit, it makes sense to me that those people would have, you know, at least some kind of input in where we go next.
Interesting.
You know, I'm just saying that generically.
There are polls that we could do in Patreon. We could ask our patrons, where should Clint's Reptiles
Yeah.
travel to next?
Just generic.
Hypothetical.
Yeah.
I love this.
I can't wait to see you wearing that around town doing this with people. It's gonna strike you. Watch out. Cobra Tie.
Cobra Tie.
Cobra Kai. Yeah.
Oh boy.
We're about to go to lunch after this, and I'm just a little bit nervous for the awkward social scene that it might be. Cobra Ties.
Hey, you've been to lunch with me before. You're prepared.
I know, and it was awkward. Now we got a Cobra Tie. Yeah, it'd be great.
Cobra Tie.
Okay, Alicia is telling me that we should wrap up at some point. Do we have any final notes that we
got
want
a
to talk
super
about?
chat that just came in. Final notes. I don't know. I guess you know. What else do you guys want to know about this journey? We've got plans for so many videos. There are even videos that Will and I are considering making but haven't. Like what we learned.
Yeah.
You know, about what it's like being in the
Because
rainforest. Things we wish we'd known before we went on a
We
trip like
learned
this.
so much. Like, it was once in a lifetime opportunity.
Absolutely. Things I
Once in a
learned.
lifetime, meaning you're never gonna do it again.
First in a lifetime opportunity.
That's right. That is so right. You know, things that we learned about herping, because I'm kind of a self-taught herper, because I grew up not knowing anybody else who was into herping, and I didn't have YouTube teach me or anything. I just had the opportunity to go to one of the greatest places in the world that you could herp, with some of the most amazing herpers you'll ever see, and I learned a great deal. And so, you know, do you want those sort of insights, or do you just want to see the animals? You know, there's so much. I mean, I can tell you, I've kind of dreamed of the rainforest all my life. I lived in Peru for 2 years, but I lived in the Atacama Desert and in the high Andes, and so I've never been to rainforest before. And in some ways, you know, I was right about some things, and I was really wrong about a lot of things as far as what I thought it would be like. And you know, we filmed B-roll to kind of show you that, but those are videos that are yet unmade, and are those the kind you want to see? So I'd love that kind of feedback, and just to know what other questions you guys have before we call it a day.
We should probably shout out Matt Cage and the group we went with.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Project Amazonas, and they have another name for their
Margarita Tours, yeah, MT Amazon.
MT Amazon.
Now, I guess it became.
yeah.
But yeah, Matt Cage, if you just do Matt Cage Peru, if you're looking up Google, we could probably provide
We'll
links as you do the different.
probably we'll have a video down the road about how to do a trip like this.
But I'll say just one thing about who they are, and I think it's fair for them to have this, and it's good to know, is that their primary mission is conservation, and there's a nonprofit and there's a for-profit to fund the nonprofit, but it all is going to the same source of focused more than anything on buying up land to conserve in the Amazon and other places, and they're doing some great work. The bushmaster is a species of snake that is so rarely seen. People who are out there looking for reptiles, herping, know that it's kind of one of the holy grail animals. We found 4. Right? No, 3. We found 3 on this trip, and it's just such a this is a great indicator species of how pristine it is, and it just shows you the good work that they're doing to put to set aside these areas. So anyway, great cause, great people,
And
who run that.
just
Devin and Matt Cage.
while we were there though, so they own a big chunk of land there that we were able to go to. Right at the edge of that land
Yeah.
got bulldozed while we were there.
While we were there, it was pretty sad.
So
I hiked the trail that ran along it the night before, and then the next day it was gone. It was
Crazy.
gone. So yeah, the work is needed. That was definitely a demonstration of how important it is to conserve some of that land.
absolutely.
Clint,
Yo,
you said you guys saw a bushmaster?
we saw many bush.
You're thinking of doing a video about it? Oh, well, wait, hold on. What kind of bushmaster?
That is the question to ask. You always run into the occasional bushmaster snob. I only know one, now 2 apparently.
Sorry, lame inside joke.
Yeah, it's a little bit of someone there who likes bushmasters, right?
Well, not all bushmasters.
Apparently they're not all good people. Lachesis.
Let's see. There was a super chat. Natasha Pedersen evidently knows exactly how to keep a one of these live streams going is by doing more super
How you
chats.
do it?
She says, so happy to know my Patreon goes towards getting you to cool places like the Amazon. Looking forward to the next adventure.
And I'll say that Patreon contribution in this case indirectly went to fund these land purchases, because that's where that money went for this trip. So, conservation in the form of education as well as in the form of acquisition and protection.
Yeah, that is really cool that it can be that direct, and it is something that I believe very strongly is that you don't care to conserve what you don't love, and you don't love what you don't know. And I got to tell you, most of the things we saw out there are things I didn't know, and so I'm really excited to get to bring that to you guys, and hopefully in 2 ways that has a huge benefit to the Amazon as a whole.
I would say it affected me. Like I'm more into this after this trip than ever before, and it makes me want to conserve those kind of things.
Stinking rad.
Stinking rad.
Was that it?
That we're caught up.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. This has been an unbelievably cool experience. I hope you guys enjoy the videos. I mean, we worked unbelievably hard. I think Will and I were putting in 16 to 18-hour days. Matt risked life and limb, at every turn, and it was unbelievably grueling, and we found some of just the most unbelievable stuff you've ever seen in your life. So I really hope that you enjoy these videos, because that will encourage us to prioritize this sort of content in the future. But what an experience. I'm so thankful for it. Thankful to all of you guys that support us and that watch us what an adventure we're on. As always, like and subscribe. We hope to see you real soon. Bye, guys.